What is good, YouTube? It's that one camera guy back at it again with another video for you. In this episode, I'm going to go over the a6300 firmware that was just recently released from Sony. Now, there was a massive release of a variety of firmware updates on many of Sony's recent mirrorless cameras. You got an update for the a6300, which we're going to take a look at today, the a6500 that I have here, we have the A7 II. This one had a particular firmware update, the A7R2 with the A7S2, and also the A9. Sadly, the A6000 did not get a recent update. I mean, they've gotten some updates before, but nothing as of late. The one thing that I really want to focus on is really the thermal improvements on the firmware update, which was the extended temperature option. So on the a6300, when you compare it to the a6500, the a6500 has this mode where you can extend the temperature. It's something I've mentioned before, and that comes in really handy in giving the camera more performance and capabilities when recording in really tougher conditions, especially when the camera's getting hot. Now the a6300 has that ability. Now, before I finish this video, after I show you the test that I do with the new firmware on the a6300, make sure to watch it all the way through because there's something I need to let you know before you update the firmware. Alright, so let's go ahead and take a look at some of the tests that I did. I did a variety of tests, and these aren't really to give you a conclusion on the camera. I'm just showing you the tests that I did. They're not perfect and they're not the most scientific. A real scientific test would do more samples and such, but I don't really have that kind of time to give. But I did do a number of tests in a variety of environments to basically show that the new firmware is doing a better job with the extended temperature option on the a6300. So let's go ahead and take a look at it right now. This first test that you're going to see right here, let me jump to my other camera there. This is, and I'll start the video from the beginning. Here we go. And I'll speed through it. By the way, I want to let you know that these time indicators are they're plus or minus a few seconds off. They're not completely accurate, but at least they're close. So the time up here is not 100% accurate because over time the timestamps drifts off. So let me go ahead and speed through it. New firmware on left, old firmware on right. We keep going through, and right around the 21:10 minute mark, we get the overheating indicator on the old firmware. And then right away at 24:15, the camera shuts down. So the camera didn't even meet the 29:50 minutes or so that it's supposed to be able to record at. It went and shut down ahead of time. Now, if this firmware update with the extended temperature lets the camera reach its 30-minute potential, that's a good sign. So let's go ahead and take a look at that right now. Moving through. We don't get the indicator until 27 minutes in, and my camera has the unlimited time. So it keeps going, and eventually it stops at 103:16. 103:16. So that is almost more than double, like 2.5 times better performance in 4K. The room temperature was around 72, 73 degrees Fahrenheit. So really ideal scenarios that you would find yourself in. So if you're shooting in that kind of environment, you can get some really good performance and improvements. And also the screens were up against the actual camera. So pushing it aside will give you more performance by doing that. Let's go ahead and jump to another test. And in this one is simulating a scenario. So that I'm in my garage in this example. And let me go ahead and jump to that camera right now. So this situation is new firmware on left, old firmware on right. It was about 88 degrees Fahrenheit ambient temperature outside. The garage door was open, like one of the doors, not the whole entire garage door, but a door was open. So, and the garage was warm. If you've ever been in the summer in the garage, if you've been in the garage and the summer heat, garage will heat up. So it did feel a lot warmer than that in the garage. I would say it was probably 92, 93, if not a little bit more, but it was warm. So imagine a scenario, maybe you're shooting a wedding or shooting an environment, you're in shade, but it's warm. It's a warm day. Here's how it did. Let me go through it. Here we go. There we go. Sorry, number's not changing. Okay, right there. 16:15 and 16:44 is when the indicator comes on, so they're not really separated by much. And then when you take a look here at 18:26, right away the camera shuts down for the a6300. It didn't even hit the 30-minute mark. let's go ahead and go with the new firmware and take a look and see. And there we go, 3714. The camera hits 3714 until it shuts down. So it's hitting its advertised 2950 at 4K. Now the thing I want to point out to you, for those of you that are seeing this, if you don't shoot in 4K, and let's say you want to shoot in 1080p, this thing is going to really help you because the camera doesn't heat up as fast at 1080p. So you'll get a lot more recording time with that. All right, let's jump to another test I did here. Let me switch cameras again. So here we go. We have, this is the Alpha 6300 new firmware versus the Alpha 6500 original firmware. I didn't update the firmware on it. So let's take a look and see how it does. Indicator comes on at 2142. The room is a little bit warmer now since then. 2408 on the Alpha 6500. This test is botched, by the way. I was in a rush to get the test done. I was using the OEM batteries, the original Sony batteries, for the other tests you're going to see, all the other ones you saw, except for this one. This particular video, I used third-party batteries, but let me explain what happens here. And this is really good information too, so I want to show it to you. Alright, so it shuts down at 55 minutes, the new firmware. That's pretty good. That's almost an hour of recording. And then we get to this one here. The battery goes exhaust. If you take a look closer, I'm going to slow it down. I'm going to kind of thumb through it. The battery percentage right here says 20%. If I scrub a little slower, you'll see it goes to nothing right away. So that's something for you to keep in mind with third-party batteries. It could be a problem. It just went straight to zero, and then I got a battery exhausted. So the Alpha 6500 could have kept going, and that's a good thing. That's a good thing. All right, let's jump to the last test that I have here for you. This is 4K recording again, Alpha 6300 plus new firmware on the left, 6500 on the right. I get the indicator at 331. Ambient temperature was 81 degrees Fahrenheit. Again, very warm temperatures, really tough on the cameras for outdoor tests. That's something we've already acknowledged, and I've acknowledged. And then 855 on the Alpha 6500. And let's see here. The Alpha 6300 shut off at 1206. But what really surprised me was the fact that the Alpha 6500 kept going. It literally kept going up until 32 minutes. This is insane. Like, I was seeing temperatures when I was using the thermal gun. I was seeing temperatures of up to about 129, 126, 30 on the surface on the Alpha 6500. So this is pretty crazy, in my opinion, that the fact that the Alpha 6500 could tolerate that much heat for that camera. So there we go. All right, folks, here's the thing. Before you update this Alpha 6300 for the new firmware, I want you to ask yourself this question. If you haven't already installed the Open Memories Tweak option, ask yourself, are you ever going to need to be able to record more than 30 minutes? If the answer is yes, then you need to try and install the Open Memories Tweak app first before you do the update. Once you do the update, at the time of this video, you can no longer install the Memories Tweak to be able to record past 30 minutes. Now, people are having problems installing it via browser option. There is a way to do it locally, like installing the app, downloading it, installing it through your computer. So if you do want a tutorial on that, I don't think it's too complicated. I could consider doing it. Just let me know in the comments below. But this firmware, based on what I've seen so far, is a major improvement in terms of its ability to keep recording. Now, is it a good thing? That's going to be up to you to decide. But for a lot of folks out there who were thinking about selling your Alpha 6500 because there are problems with overheating, this thing is going to help tremendously. It is definitely going to help out a lot. So that's it. That's all I got for you in this video, guys. The first thing I do want to let you know before I go is thank you so much to everyone who believes in what I do and understands the work that I'm doing and can see the tests that I'm showing and giving you examples of what's happening with the equipment and gear, especially when things are overheating and shutting down. A lot of us out here have experienced overheating problems with a variety of Sony cameras. All I'm doing is trying to provide information and getting Sony to see this. Sony is apparently watching the videos that I do now, and it's a really good platform and opportunity to show them, like, hey, this is what your cameras are doing and addressing some of these problems. Once again, guys, if you did find this video helpful, give it a thumbs up. If you didn't like it, give it a dislike. And with that said, I'm your host, Edwin Camera Guy, and I'll catch you on the next video. Bye.